This is Sumair Qureshi, UQ. Once again with my wonderful colleague and my friend Tammy, with a wonderful educationist once again on this show, which is for you, which is for the people who want to listen to the great ideas from the great educationists in the world. So we are again here with Ad Talk Live with me and Tammy, and today we have a wonderful mathematician and wonderful educationist with us. Tammy, hi, how are you?
I am pretty good, pretty rested after the weekend, so good to chat it up this evening.
That's
yeah,
wonderful.
how are you?
So before we introduce the guest, let me tell our audience that this show is a collaborative project of Pakistan ASCD and ELASCD. So today we are going on and moving on, and I'm really excited to ask questions and learn more from our wonderful guest. Tammy, tell us who is the guest today?
I'm really excited to say hello, Jennifer. Welcome to the show. We have Jennifer Chang-Wathall with us, who is an expert in concept-based learning, in particular in maths, but we're talking openly today. We're talking more concept-based learning. Jennifer is a part-time instructor for the University of Hong Kong and also an independent educational consultant. She delivers face-to-face professional development workshops and offers school partnerships for long-term sustained curriculum development. So I'm really excited to have you here today, Jennifer. So welcome to the show. Thanks for taking the time to be with us today. How are you?
We're really excited. Thank you, Jennifer.
I'm sorry. Jennifer's paused on my end.
Oops.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Technical difficulty.
Technical problem.
Yeah.
No.
Oh.
Oops. Okay.
There we go. I can see her. I just don't hear her.
Yeah. So, Jennifer, can Jennifer be added again?
Yeah, let's try that again.
She lost the concept.
Okay. Yeah.
She lost the screen. So let's wait for Jennifer once again.
Yeah, so this is exciting that Jennifer is not one of our usual ASCD guests, but I've met her through someone that I work with who is in the IB school network. And so he recommended getting in touch with Jennifer because she does a lot of work with the concept-based learning, which I know a lot of teachers are very interested in. So it'll be exciting to talk about that versus traditional teaching and to get into a bit of math. Hopefully we can get her back on the...
Yeah, she's back. And
okay, great.
Technical issues.
There you are.
I'm so sorry about that. I think it must have been either my connection or something, but I am back. All of a sudden, when you were giving this wonderful introduction, everybody froze. So
hello again, and welcome. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
So you've been introduced. I don't know how much you heard. And then I told a little bit about how I met you through Michael Lucchese through the IB world.
Yes.
So it's exciting to have someone coming onto the show that isn't just from our ASCD family, even though those are amazing people and a great bank of educational leaders. But it's good to have some people that are outside of our network as well too, and bring you inside. So
thank you.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. So hi everyone, I'm back. I'm basically online now. So I was a teacher in the classroom for 27 years basically, and I've just recently retired about 2 years ago from the classroom because I wanted to try and have a bigger impact on education and student learning than just having the impact with the students in front of me. And as you mentioned, Michael, he's an IB workshop leader. I'm an IB workshop leader too. So I've been running IB workshops for 12 years and that's given me this wonderful platform to be able to collaborate and to meet other educators from all around the world. But I think something that really changed my life and changed the direction of my career was really in 2012. I would say around 2012 to 2013, I met the prolific Dr. Lynn Erickson. So she is, yes. So you know her, Tammy? You know of her? Yeah. So she is the pioneer of concept-based curriculum and instruction. And I attended her 2-day workshop, and light bulbs just started going off. And everything that she said about developing curriculum and designing learning experiences for deep engagement and deep conceptual understanding just really made sense to me. So from that point onwards, I decided to do her Summer Institute and attain my certification in concept-based curriculum and instruction, and really focused, I think, on curriculum development. So a lot of my work as an independent consultant now is helping schools in school partnerships develop their curriculum so that we're really focusing on deep, high-level understanding of the concepts from different discipline areas, and trying to provide students with a more meaningful and purposeful learning experience so that they are able to transfer and apply their knowledge and what they learn in terms of the content to different situations in different contexts. So I'm very fortunate to be able to collaborate with a few schools around the world and really see, I think, the fruits of the labor of different schools and their approaches and what they've developed with me. So I'm very lucky.
That's amazing. I can see how, Lynn Erickson and her works would definitely spark that interest, because there is a lot of light bulb action happening when you're reading through her books. I haven't done her workshops, but I've read through, and someone that I know from the school that I work at just did her Summer Institute, and she was just blown away by it. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So you'll be able to share a lot of takeaways, I think, from that. Yeah.
Yeah. So the concept-based learning approach is very different from a lot of how teachers still have to teach, which is fairly traditional. Can you just highlight some of the key points that are very different in those two approaches?
So the concept-based curriculum and instruction framework is really a 3-dimensional design model to develop curriculum and to unit plan. And it really is a model that helps frame the facts and skills with conceptual understandings. So sometimes a myth about concept-based curriculum is that, we sacrifice content, there's less rigor, we don't have facts and skills, but actually we use those facts and skills, build upon those facts and skills, and we draw conceptual understandings from that. So it really is using the facts and skills and creating a synergy with the high levels of thinking, such as conceptual thinking. So connecting the lower levels of thinking with the high levels of thinking and trying to create a synergistic relationship. Because I think traditional curriculum has probably more focused just on the 2D model, which looks at just the facts and skills and focuses more on the rote memorization and the mass of content that, we want our students just to regurgitate in final exams. But I think that the 3D model really requires the student to engage and develop their intellect, to be able to critically think about the facts and skills and the knowledge that's presented, and then be able to draw deep understandings and apply to different situations. So I think in a nutshell, it really is a 3-dimensional model as opposed to the traditional 2-dimensional model.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Mary, you want to take the next question? Uh-oh. Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thought we lost you.
It's all messed up today.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
So give me a second. I'm just.
Yeah, I can ask the next question. That's fine if you want to get reoriented.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So then just kind of building off of that. So what are some shifts then that teachers would have to make to kind of to move from traditional framework of teaching or approach and planning style to move towards that more conceptual framework?
I think that's a really good challenging question, because I think sometimes teachers that perhaps are not familiar with the entire framework of the concept-based model can be quite overwhelmed. And, that sometimes I think there's a perception that we have to throw out everything that we've done in the past and do something new. And I think a lot of experienced teachers probably are already teaching in a conceptual way. But this framework allows and enables the teachers, I think, to be more purposeful and more explicit about this. So when I do work with schools and school partnerships, a lot of the light bulb moments for teachers is that, well, we're actually already doing this, but here is a more purposeful, more explicit way where we're actually ensuring that the students are attaining that conceptual understanding rather than it being incidental. So I think, it's really taking baby steps and not using your own strengths, using the units and the learning engagements that you already have, and then just thinking about helping students to understand the why. So the 2D model is about what we learn, maybe how we learn, but what about the why? So I think the concept-based model really explains and helps students understand, well, why are we learning this? And I think that's when learning becomes more meaningful, because then students can connect with it. The information, the understanding is deeply embedded in the memory, and then they can, be able to actually answer quite complex questions, even in an exam style or not exam style, but they can actually apply and transfer. So that's the ultimate goal, I think. Yeah. So to kind of, I think, try to encourage the fact that as experienced teachers, we probably already do this. So let's be a little bit more meaningful and purposeful about this and explicit. That's what I would say. Yeah.
And sorry, Umar, I'm just going to continue because I have another question. So just within that, just being very intentional about the planning, the experiences, in Teachers College, you kind of are taught to plan in silos. And so, there's that kind of like, well, okay, how does this look in reading? How does it look in writing? How does it look in math?
Yes.
When it doesn't really have to look that way. So how do teachers approach that then?
So there's an interdisciplinary approach that I really do encourage. But at the same time, we want to maintain the integrity of each of our discipline areas as well. So I think that there's a place for both. We need to, help our students understand the interdisciplinary connections of how, for example, STEAM fit together and how mathematics fits together with other subjects. But I think at the same time, you need to have some kind of disciplinary depth of understanding to be able to do that. We don't want to sacrifice the depth of understanding when it comes to unit planning.
That makes sense. Okay, sorry, Mark, go ahead.
Tell me before. It's okay. Actually, I was messed up with all the windows. There were so many windows on the laptop, and Jennifer's voice was bouncing from many sides, and I was just confused. So anyway, that problem is solved. Before
Excellent.
I go on to the next question, Jennifer, we have a couple of questions from the audience. And
great.
You can see those, you can see those questions on the screen. And here comes the first question.
Okay. So let me just slide this over. What does it say?
Yeah.
How can we plan a really good plan for our class, which includes Bloom's taxonomy for concept-based learning, along with the integration of
concept-based learning, along with integration of SUMR model.
Summer.
Oh, okay, into technology.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're looking at Bloom's, we're looking at concept-based learning, and we're looking at the integration of technology. I am a huge fan and proponent of educational technology. I've written a few books, and in one of my books, I have a whole chapter on the SAMR model. I talk about TPAC. Now there's also other models called the EEE model that we can actually use to really integrate technology in a meaningful way. But I really want to stress that we should only be integrating technology if it's going to enhance learning. So it's not for the sake of using technology. And if the technology doesn't encourage the high levels of blooms, for example, that's where the question was, then we shouldn't be using it. So I think sometimes hands-on manipulatives, where children, doesn't matter what age, whether they're in elementary, secondary school, concrete manipulatives, it has its own power, and we should not be only relying on technology in the classroom and having all of our students on computer screens 24 hours a day. There needs to be, I think, a variety of experiences, a variety of learning experiences where we have, human relationships, we have interpersonal connections, but we use the technology to help us maybe elevate our understanding to another level. So I think in terms of how Bloom's connects, concept-based curriculum connects, and how to integrate technology, I think that they are all very much aligned in that they all have a goal to try and foster and develop high-order thinking and to be able to encourage much deeper level understanding, conceptual understanding. And I think in terms of just specifically the SAMR model, I mean, my opinion is that, if a tool is used straight for substitution purposes, then we really have to ask ourselves the question, well, what's the point? If it's a straight substitution rather than augmentation or a modification or redefinition, where we're actually completely redefining the learning experience for students. So I think at substitution level, if it really is not enhancing learning to a not significant amount, then let's not use it. Yeah.
Great.
That's very good.
Yeah. Another question. So you see another question on the screen.
Oh, how similar? Oh, I love this question. How similar is conceptual learning to inquiry-based? Oh, I love this. Now, I'm going to give you a few different perspectives. So, because for me, I feel that students really need to understand conceptual on a high level to make meaning in terms of their schooling and their education. I think inquiry-based learning is the vehicle that leads to conceptual understanding. So we need to be able to connect the facts and skills, the low order thinking with the high levels of thinking, conceptual understanding. But how do we connect those two together? How do we create that synergy and develop intellect? We actually use the inquiry process continuum. And this is where inquiry-based learning comes in, that's how we actually help students to connect low levels and high levels of thinking. And inquiry-based learning, I would say, is such an important tenet. And it's not about open discovery learning, where you ask your students to go and discover and inquire what are the, anything that they want. I think that's a bit of a misconception about inquiry, that there's a lot of teacher intervention, that we really support our students through careful questioning, prompts, and scaffolding if necessary. It's not just, I'm going to let go and let you run with something. Right. It's that I'm going to make sure that you're confident, that you know where you're going. I have a plan and a direction, but I'm not going to be there telling you the answers to everything at every step of the way, because I want you to arrive at those understandings and for you to articulate the understandings from the learning experience that I've designed. I'm just going to finish off with an analogy. So I've got two analogies. So I think it's so important that we do not tell our students conceptual understandings, because it would be like if I gave you a beautifully wrapped present and you started unwrapping this and I told you what the present was before you actually got to the present. Or do you remember? Exactly. I'm robbing you of that surprise element and that experience, right? Of piquing your curiosity and being able to go through that experience. Another analogy I use is, do you remember when Endgame was released? And there was huge, or let's say Game of Thrones, whatever, the movie is, or whatever the series. Imagine if I told you the spoiler to that movie or that series rather than a trailer. So it's important that we give our students the trailer, we set the stage up for learning, we get them excited, we give them some kind of direction. But do we want to tell them the spoiler to the movie at the very beginning of class? we don't want to rob them of that experience. We want to take them through this exciting learning engagement of inquiry. It could be structured, it could be guided, it could be more open, and then they arrive at these understandings and they communicate them. And then you see the excitements and their light bulb moments, which I think is the most rewarding. I think that's why we're all teachers, right? So to experience that wonderful light bulb moment that we see, that spark in their eye.
Those are really great analogies. I love analogies. So those are two more that'll stick in my mind.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So before I move on to the next question from the audience, I have another question. Jennifer, your area of expertise is maths. So
Yes.
many teachers are afraid to teach maths, even at the lower levels.
Yes.
So can you go through a brief overview of how children begin to develop their understanding of math and how that can support teachers in teaching math concepts? Before you answer, what actually happens in many education models, like even in Pakistan as well, like they just start with the numerics, with the numbers from very early years. And I know that Jean Piaget has a different opinion about it, that it should be started that early. So we want a very, very expert opinion from you as being a math specialist about it.
Thank you. Unfortunately, I think we've discussed that the traditional approaches are what you discussed, Umair, that they're very much about algorithms and they're very much process driven. It's about rote memorization. It's about drill and kill. And, a lot of students they're not exposed to the beauty, the creativity, and the actual conceptual relationships within mathematics. So I think if you ask any mathematics educator, we all agree that mathematics is actually beautifully creative, which a lot of people think mathematics is black and white. You get an answer or not, but actually it's beautifully creative. And, we want to try to showcase the creativity and beauty of mathematics through designing inquiry-based learning engagements that they can work through and leading to something that's quite deep and meaningful about the language of mathematics. I'm really trying to move away. I do not believe that drilling and killing is going to be successful in terms of helping your students gain confidence in mathematics and even enjoying. I think that's going to take away the enjoyment. I think that, the practice has to be very purposeful. Sometimes you can practice and it's 2 problems or it's 3 problems. You don't have to do 50 problems to be able to fully understand, what the concepts are necessarily. And so I do in my travels, and I think it's, something that is just so ingrained in maths education across the world that, we give worksheets. We turn to page 54 and we, work on 20 problems of the same type. And I think we need to really try and move away from that approach to think about what's going to be more effective, where students are going to understand better and deeper, but not using those kinds of methods and trying to pique their curiosity and increase the level of engagement and excitement. Like, I'm always so sad, to hear about the level of anxiety and fear, not just from students, but you just said to me, at teachers that are fearful. And because they've had these awful experiences probably when they were younger. I'm working with one of the through schools somewhere in the world, let's say, no names. And, the head of school said to me a couple of months ago, he's in charge of the early years, the primary, the secondary school, he's in charge of the whole school. He said, I'm terrified of maths. And I am scared. Like, if you ask me to do something in front of anyone, I will freeze. I will break out in a cold sweat. Here is a man in his mid-50s, highly educated and experienced in schools, and yet he is still absolutely terrified when I try to have a discussion about it because of the previous experiences. And so, let's eradicate that. Let's really try to rebrand what mathematics is about. It's about creativity and beauty and fun, and it's about inquiry, and it's about sometimes not knowing where you're going and being really okay with that. It's not about the answer. And I think it's an analogy, again, to life, that it's not our end destination in life, it's the journey, and we want to enjoy our life as we go. It's not about the end of our life, right? So that's I'm pretty passionate, as you can tell, about that.
No, this reminds me of my own career, like my early childhood, and then how I have gone through my academics. And I just quote one event that I have gone through this. Like, this is very inspiring, that obviously we cannot snatch that enjoyment from the students. And why most of the people think that mathematics is difficult, probably they are not able to relate it with the real world. Like I couldn't. Once I asked my teacher that I have done a lot of integration, a lot of differentiation. What's the point of doing it?
Yes, it was abstract. It was approached probably in a very abstract way. Yeah.
So I have gone through a conventional education system, and guess what? My teacher said the golden words written in the history. Instead of answering this thing, he said, "Get lost." So I left the class. So it happens. So tell me your next question.
Yeah, so we just have a few minutes left too, but I wanted to ask you, I saw on your Twitter feed the other day that you were filming some videos. So can you tell us about that?
Yes, well, there's two things actually. The first is that I've published some books with Oxford University Press on the new diploma maths courses. So there are a lot of questions because the new maths courses, I would say, are pretty exciting, very progressive, introducing basically a concept-based framework. We've got kind of less content, but deeper, because we want students to understand on a deeper level rather than like an inch deep, mile wide curriculum, much, a deeper curriculum. And so I've been making a couple of videos just about how to guide students with those new courses. I've got some new ones coming out that I've just recorded with them to do with frequently asked questions. Actually, there's always a lot of frequently asked questions. Yep. So that's what that's about. But the other exciting news, and I'm not going to give too much away now, is that I am releasing my own channel. So watch out for that.
Yeah, for sure. When you post it on Twitter, I will put it on our page as well so people can access that. And just speaking of other some go-to resources for teachers. So, a lot of teachers are on Twitter now and using Twitter chats. Do you have some kind of quick go-tos, like if people don't have time to do a course or something right now, what are some chats that you might recommend, or like Lynn Erickson books and your books, obviously, and some just kind of quick tangibles?
I think the key was, Tammy, you talked about disciplines being in silos, but teachers also sometimes being in silos and working in caves by themselves. And I think choose one of Lynn Erickson's books. All of them are fantastic. Do a little book study with a couple of your colleagues. It doesn't have to be the entire staff. And then do this book study, have a weekly discussion, and really kind of dig deep in terms of what it means to you. How can you take it into your school and your curriculum development? So I would say start off there, because sometimes the Twitter sphere can be quite overwhelming. There's so much going on, but, do a small little book study. But I think the key here is collaboration and the discussions and the power that you'll have when you have a small group of teachers together to be able to really throw, bounce ideas off basically each other. Yeah.
That's
Thank you.
Jennifer,
you're welcome.
Before Tammy, you ask the next part or you comment
or whatever I'm going to say.
Yeah. I like it, whatever you say. One of these audience, they say that she says that she's a math teacher and she wants to get connected to Jennifer. Tell us how to approach you, how to reach to this celebrity.
Oh, hardly a celebrity, but please, I invite anyone and everyone to connect with me on Twitter. That is my best professional development and learning myself. I love, having dialogues and looking at the latest research. So I do think the Twitter sphere is a wonderful forum for educators. Please connect with me there. Please feel free to email me. I'm a little bit of a workaholic, so I will reply you within 6 hours. hours normally, regardless of wherever I am in the time zone. So my email is actually jenniferwathall@jenniferwathall.com. It's actually my name twice, so you don't have to remember any combination of letters or anything. It's just my name twice.com. That's it. So I do invite you to email, and I do run online courses. I do face-to-face professional development that's open too. So go onto my website, jenniferchang.com, which is actually attached to my Twitter. So if you go to my Twitter, you can find some open workshops to come and meet me, and I'd love to meet you face-to-face.
And we will have on the Ed Talk page on Facebook and our Twitter and YouTube, we will post Jennifer's Twitter handle, website, email, all of that information in case you don't have it written down right now. And I was going to say one more thing, and it's left my brain. That's okay. So it's 8:30 here in Singapore. In Hong Kong, it's 5:30 in. Yep, we're all in the evening today. So we'll wrap up the show. Jennifer has a saying that she wanted to share with us. So Jennifer, if you want to wrap up the show with your quote?
Yes, I mean, this is an old Chinese saying. Some people say it was Lao Tzu, but I think, it's an old Chinese saying that's been around for years. And I think sometimes teachers can be overwhelmed by the number of changes that happen in schools and in education and research. So what I say is that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with just one single step.
Certainly does.
That's wonderful. It's
Thank
really
you.
wonderful.
Yes, thank you so much, Jennifer.
Tammy, you have to wrap up?
Yes, I was just going to say thank you to Jennifer. That was really valuable. And just popped back in my head. We kind of were talking a little bit about inquiry-based learning as well. And we did have Kath Murdoch on the show a few weeks ago. So people who were asking about that will want to hop over to YouTube for sure to watch that show as well if you haven't already. So, yeah.
That's wonderful. So thank you very much, Jennifer, and to the audience who have joined us and asked wonderful questions and showed a lot of interest. Jennifer, I think we will be having another show with you.
I think
very
so.
soon. Yeah, because there are so many questions. I loved listening to you, and that's what so really enlightening. So thank you, everyone, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel. This show will be uploaded there, and if you want to watch our previous shows, you can just simply go to Ed Talk Live on YouTube, and you can watch any show. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next week. Tammy, we're coming next week?
Yep, next week.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.